Hey everyone, and welcome back to FSI DFS. I am McKinley412, and today we're going to be breaking down the 7-game early slate on Saturday for Draftkings. We will have a separate video out for the main slate, 6-gamer happening later on in the day. But for now, just the 7-game early slate here. Weather-wise, no weather concerns at all, which is fantastic, and it's been a nice stretch of weather here lately. We haven't had any issues with delays or postponements that we've had to worry about. We do have some COVID news creeping up with Seattle. They're not on this slate, but it's still something that we need to be keeping tabs on here as the days go on. But let's just dive right into the pitchers here. Shane Bieber right up at the top, leading the charge. Bieber's got 36% strikeout rate on the season. It is down. It's down. He's still only getting 7, 8, and 9 strikeouts on his past 3 starts, but still, he's clearly the top strikeout pitcher on this slate. And that 11.2 salary is slightly concerning. Minnesota just put up 10 runs on Friday night, but I still think he's clearly your number one option here tonight or this afternoon. Sonny Gray, right below him at 10.4K. I have more concern with Gray's salary than I do with Bieber's here. It's priced too high for me. He has 6 starts so far this season, and in only 2 of those starts did he score more than 13 points. So he's struggling getting deep into games. I think that's his main issue here. Obviously, you don't want to be having multiple walks when you're only pitching 4 or 5 innings every single game. But he's struggling here. He's going against Milwaukee, who is a team that we have been targeting with pitchers, but they do have Yelich back. They do have Narvaez back. So, they're hitting better lately. And now they're in that small ballpark in Cincinnati that allows a lot of runs. So 10-4 for Sonny Gray, I think, is a little bit too pricey. He still has a 28% strikeout rate this season. So, the upside is there for him. But I think there's other better options on the slate here, both in cash games and in GPP. Obviously, if you're playing multiple lineups, you want to be targeting him just for that K upside. McCullers right below him, very similar strikeout rate to Sonny Gray so far this season. He's at a 27% strikeout rate this season. He's going against Texas, who do fairly well against right-handed pitching. But I like how McCullers is a ground ball pitcher, and it's the type of pitcher that Texas kind of struggles against. Texas likes to go against those fly ball pitchers and just launch them out of the park with all the power that they have in their lineup, but not able to do that when you're going up against a guy like McCullers, who's just going to make you ground out to second base or hit some singles through the shortstop or whatever. So I don't think it's a good matchup for the Texas bats. So I think McCullers at a very similar strikeout rate as Gray in a more pitcher-friendly ballpark, better than Cincinnati, and just in a better matchup in general. I like McCullers for cash games more than I do Sonny Gray. Only 3 other pitchers that I really want to be targeting here and mentioning. The first one is Pablo Lopez for Miami. He's going up against the Mets, and the Mets are banged up to say the least. Lopez, he only has a 22% strikeout rate on the season, which is nothing to write home about here. But if you go over and we'll highlight the Mets hitters and just look at all these injuries that they have, it is unreal what is going on with this team. Alonso, Conforto, McNeil, Pilar, Davis, Nemo, Guillaume. How is that? That's 7 guys right there. I think if I scroll down, there might even be some more. That's the day-to-day. Yep, you got some more guys on the IL as well. This is just insane what's going on. And it's not just like all their backups or bench players at all. Like, these are their top guys. Nemo, Alonso, Conforto, McNeil. Was that their 1, 2, 3, 4? I know you got Lindor there. But it's just, you got to be targeting the pitchers against this team right now just because of who they're sending in their starting lineups. each game. So Lopez, he's a solid pitcher. He's 9K for a reason here. He's not going to be blowing you away. He's not going to be lighting you up for 30, 35 points. But at 9,000, if he can get me to 25 points, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Even if he gets you to 20 points, I think that's a good start for him. Absolutely. The other two guys I'm looking at are both from this Kansas City game. Matthew Boyd going up against KC. Boyd's been really consistent this season. He had one start against the White Sox. Just couldn't get out of the first inning. I mean, he only went 36. So I can't remember if he got injured. I want to say he did get injured here. Not really that important right now. Oh yeah, pulled with left knee tendonitis. So he was pulled in that game. Doesn't look like he was doing very well in the first place, but he's faced his Kansas City team twice so far this season. He's got 19 and 20 points, 7.7. And I think he's a fine play. You can kind of see his floor has been phenomenal so far this season. So sign me up for Boyd. And the other guy on the other side of that game is Singer. Singer's 6.6K, which I think is just way too cheap for anybody going against these Detroit bats. I will say, though, the Detroit bats have been much better as of late. They haven't been that offense that we were targeting every single slate to start the season. They have put up some runs. They put up some offense. So there is a slight hesitancy with that. But you can see he put up 32 against them 2 starts ago, but last start against them, he only had 1 point. They hit him pretty well. So we know Singer's potential. And at 6.6K, I think that's way too cheap for his potential, especially in the matchup that he's given here. So that kind of covers the pitching here. I'm really only interested in those 6-7 pitchers: Bieber, Gray, McCullers, Lopez, Boyd, and Singer. Everyone else is just a GPP dart and a large field for me. So let's turn to the bats here. Looking at some of the higher, just the better offenses on this slate. Houston going up against Jordan Lyles. Jordan Lyles is a bad pitcher. Houston is a phenomenal offense. But it's going to be tough to fit anybody in from Houston. If you look at their prices here, Altuve, 6.1, Bregman, 6,000. You have 5 starters priced 5.7 or higher. And it is nearly impossible to really build any lineup with a large stack like that and be confident in anything. Even the guys who are quote unquote cheaper, 5,000, 4.2. So Straw might get the start, who knows? But Houston is just way too pricey for my book. Washington, I think, is a solid play as well. Pittsburgh is very interesting to me. I think Pittsburgh can be very under the radar here just because it's Pittsburgh. Now, right now, they got Bryce Wilson. Brian Wilson. Beach Boys, there you go. Bryce Wilson for Atlanta starting. It's not confirmed. I know DK has him as probable, but he's not confirmed here on the MLB website or anything. But if it is indeed Wilson going here, I do like those Pittsburgh bats, especially those Pittsburgh lefties, and they do have some value with them. Adam Frazier, 4.1K. Frazier's been phenomenal this season because he's hitting 340. He's doing very well. 5 multi-hit games in his past 6 games. So he's swinging the bat very well right now. He's a lefty going against the righty there. Reynolds here, he's also doing very well, hitting near 300. And you can see Pittsburgh, these lefty bats are doing well lately. So Frazier, Reynolds, Polanco at 3K. I think Pittsburgh is a very interesting team if you want some salary savings for as like a secondary mini stack or something. Pittsburgh can definitely be in there, but make sure you're paying attention to that Atlanta starter there. Cincinnati, I think they're probably going to be the chalkiest on the slate here. The most popular, going up against Anderson. Anderson does not strike anybody out at all. He has a 13% strikeout rate this season. 13. Like, that's almost unheard of for like an MLB starting pitcher. So he's not striking anybody out. He's struggling this season. And now you got Cincinnati in that small ballpark at home where they're averaging over 6 runs a game. So looking, I mean, Winker is on fire. He's in a lefty-lefty matchup there. But looking at guys like Castellanos, I don't see how you don't play him in cash games here. Obviously, it's baseball. You can go for 4 over 5. It happens, but he's in a great spot. Suarez is very interesting, and people might look at his average here and be scared off of him. He's hitting 157 this season. Suarez, he just strikes out a ton. He strikes out a ton. He has the 3rd highest strikeout rate among all batters in the league that have had his number of plate appearances. Okay, so he strikes out a ton. But he's facing a guy who doesn't strike anybody out. So you can see, like, he has production. He's got 9 home runs, 24 RBIs on the season. He has production. He does hit extra base hits. He just strikes out a lot, and it really kind of limits his floor, limits his upside. But if he's getting the ball into play, he's doing very well with it. So I think Suarez is a fine play there, just given the matchup. Stevenson, Cincinnati's banged up at first base. They don't have Votto. They also don't have, I mean, Moustakas is first base eligible here, though. But they've been putting Stevenson at first base here. So 4-2, he could be a fine play there as well. So I like Cincinnati. But the team that I really want to target, and I think they're going to be very low owned. I think they're going to fly under the radar here, but it is Baltimore. Baltimore going up against Jon Lester. So Baltimore going up against Jon Lester. Let's go over to Statcast here. I love Statcast. You guys know that. I highly recommend you check out this site if you haven't. So here's Lester's pitching breakdown. You can see his 5 pitches here and the percentage of what he throws of each of them. So he's mainly a fastball guy. So let's sort his pitches by just his fastballs, cutter, sinker, and the 4-seamer. He throws these fastballs 75% of his pitches. Okay, he just likes to blow it by you. But when he's throwing his fastball, opponents have a 368 batting average against him. 360, yeah, that's just amazing. Exit velocity around 90. So it gets hit hard. So now he's going up against Baltimore. So let's go to the search tab here. So we'll organize it by his pitch type, the 4-seamer, the cutter, and the sinker. Batter against left-handed, just like Lester is here, the Orioles, and we searched everything. So these are your results. Batting average, Mountcastle. I mean, these are small sample sizes. Okay, I fully admit that these are small sample sizes, but when we're talking 20, 30, up to almost 40 plate appearances here. Okay, so there is some data that we can start to believe and see here. Mountcastle hitting 421, 368 ISO. Mancini hitting 400, a 640 ISO against these pitch types that Lester is throwing out, and pitch types from this handed pitcher, a left-hander. Okay, 355, 342, all the way down. I mean, the Baltimore regular starters are all near over 300 hitters, and they have some serious power. 500 ISO and 22 at bats, a 640 and 25 at bats. Mullins bang 342 and 38 at bats. So they can hit the ball hard, and they're fairly cheap here. Mancini, obviously not at 5.6, but I can see that price tag really scaring people off of him. So GPP, it's a great way to separate yourself from the field there. Putting in Mancini. Hayes, he's that guy that's hitting really hard for power and for hits, and he's had a great season so far. 3.7, I think that's another fine price for him there. Let's see. Mountcastle. Okay, Mountcastle's doing well. 3.3. So you can see what he's doing here. Floor can be struggling, but like I said, I said he's doing well in this form here. So against these pitches, hitting 421 in 19 plate or at bats here. So you could do like a mini stack here for Baltimore, and it kind of opens things up for you to do some things at pitcher, like spend up at pitcher. So if you go Bieber, and if you want to go with Lopez, going up against that banged up New York Mets team, 3-4. It's not as high as you would like, just because Mancini is priced so high, but you can get other Baltimore bats in there. So you might need to drop down a pitcher, but say, hey, you want to go down to Singer here. Now that leaves you 3.9, almost 4K for your remaining bats. So you can get those Cincinnati bats in there without too much concern. So if we were to throw in those guys that I mentioned earlier, if you throw in Castellanos and you throw in Suarez, 2.9. Looking dicey. So maybe you just completely punt at catcher or second or shortstop in this situation here. And if you did that, I know Garcia is not starting, but just throwing him in price guy, you're up to 3-3. So it's totally possible. There is value out there to be found. So let's clear this. Let's play around with some of those Pittsburgh bats that I was talking about. So we're liking guys like Frazier and Reynolds and Polanco. Okay. We go to pitcher. Say you don't want to go up to Bieber and Gray scares you. You want to play a little bit safer with pitcher, but not spend too much money. You go McCullers and you can go Lopez. You're looking at 4-1 for your remaining bats. So if you combine that with those Cincinnati bats that we were talking about, with Castellanos and with Suarez, 3-3, totally doable. So there's other good plays on there. I'm not going to spend too much time here building all these things, but Cincinnati, I think, is going to be the chalkiest play because their salary just fits better than Houston does. Houston is just priced in the stratosphere. We can't even touch them and build a line that we like. Obviously, you can do a one-off with somebody, but really stacking with Houston is going to be near impossible. So Cincinnati is going to be your top offense, or that I'm going to be targeting here. But I also like Baltimore and I like Pittsburgh, kind of some GPP plays here as well. Just to kind of review that picture real quick. Let me clear this so they all show up. Bieber, clearly your top option on the slate. Sonny Gray, price is a little high. Milwaukee's got some of their better bats back from injury. He's in that small ballpark. I think bumping down to McCullers, who has the exact same strikeout percentage. Ground ball pitcher is Texas struggles against them, so I think the matchup is fine there. So McCullers over Gray, in my opinion. Lopez going against the Mets, who have 6 regulars on the IL right now. And then Boyd and Singer to round things off in that Kansas City game. So this is just for the early slate. We do have a separate video for the main slate coming out later on, so make sure to check that out as well. As always, drop a comment, hit that thumbs up button. We really do appreciate all the engagement that you guys give us. It also helps us provide all this free content for you as well. So good luck in your contest tonight, and I will see you in your next video.